HVG Systems is our sponsored guest supplier today, and the topic, as you see on the screen, Fractional CIO, Chief Information Officer. So to kick things off now, here is Doug Austin.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. We're excited to bring a very interesting and timely topic from Ofer Alphabet, the CEO of HVG Systems. He's going to talk about a CIO, a fractional CIO, and we know that many of our clients are short-staffed and need help in a number of strategic and tactical areas. So I think this is a timely seminar. The Innovative Supplier webinar series was started a year ago, May, and we must be knocking on the door of 40 webinars right now, but we endeavor to bring innovative ideas not only in expense categories for supplies and services, but also for audit and recovery categories, and even sometimes new revenue opportunities. So we're pleased to provide yet another opportunity here today, and we will have this webinar recorded and made available, and we hope you'll listen carefully, ask some good questions, and enjoy the session today. Thanks very much.
Hello, everybody. My name is Ofer Alphabet. Like Doug introduced me, I am the CEO, founder, and owner of HVG Systems. HVG Systems is a managed service provider, and we engage with clients and customers on a variety of different projects where I have been providing the role of a fractional chief information officer for maybe 9 or 10 years under that title. So thank you for joining this webinar. And what we're going to review today is what is a fractional CIO. And I will give you some suggestions if you wonder when should I engage with one, as well as some highlights of what to expect out of a fractional CIO. And at the end, I'll cover 3 of my quote-unquote favorite engagements and top concern areas that we have been helping clients with. Feel free to submit questions. I will be keeping my eyes open on the Q&A and the chat areas. Love to keep it as a dialogue more than a monologue, so don't hesitate. So question number 1, if anybody wants to put in their answer. What is the national monthly average of a small business cost of outsourced IT? If your organization will go and find a IT service provider, what do you expect to pay on a per employee? And we're going to let the question remain online for maybe 10 more seconds if anybody else wants to participate. And the poll. I don't know if you guys can see the results, but we have one reply $25 to $40 per month. We have one reply of 40 to 45, one reply of 55 to 70, one reply for 70 to 85, and one reply for 85 to 100. And this is an answer that has been compiled out of over 300 managed service providers. And the average answer is $85 to $100 per employee per month. And that's what when you engage with companies, should have at least a national average. So when somebody comes into you with higher dollar amounts or very low dollar amounts, while it might be tempting or scary, you need to dive into what specifically you will get. And we'll cover it later in the definition of managed service provider. So what is a fractional CIO? So while it is a very big word, Chief Information Officer, it really is a senior expert leader that help organizations in developing all of the strategic leadership, budget, technology selection, implementation, optimization, monitor, and the list goes on and on and on. You will find CIO roles usually at very large companies, but it doesn't mean that the smaller companies do not have a need for such expertise. And that need really doesn't go away whether your company has 5 to 10 employees or 100 or 200 employees, because the variety of technology needs change on a daily basis. And we all know whoever fulfilled those type of IT management and decision making is encountering those cross points on a regular basis, where a fractional CIO, while during the engagement with you guys will give you 100% of their time, attention, and expertise, is not an individual that you have to carry on your salary and provide any type of long-term employment or financial commitment. So when should an organization consider a fractional CIO? I put the top 5 reasons which we encounter on a regular basis. No secrets about that. Many times we are faced with, should I choose this database or that database? Or should I select this internet service provider or that internet service provider? Or should my server room have HVAC because I'm told yes or no that I need it or not? Dell versus HP, you name it, right? So anytime you're uncertain about the direction of technology, bringing a focused duration of time, one or more specific project experts can speed up the process of landing on the right answer. And if you need to, can also help implementing it. Anytime that you have in-house IT expertise, many of our clients have an employee who manages all the full-time or part-time, all the day-to-day plug and play is what we call it. But that's all they know. So when issues become a bit more complicated, when you have to deal with cyber safety, with security, with switches, with firewalls, with decisions that carry and require a lot more knowledge than what they have, you are indirectly and unintentionally developing a gap in your IT expertise. Great opportunity to bring in experts, a quick onboarding, understanding of what is going on, and you get years and very broad industry knowledge that can help put forward decisions and recommendations. Periodically, we lack the strategic vision and or leadership. The IT or technology used to be just a computer and a few printers. With cloud computing and SaaS or software as service type deployment, it has become very complicated. And again, an experienced CIO can come in on a fractional basis and really help drive the answers very quickly and very effectively. Anytime you have any type of security, then you should all have concerns about security, posture, and vulnerabilities. We deal with that day in and day out. About a third of our time today is helping our clients either filling out a questionnaire and understanding what are their vulnerability and what should their security posture be. Should they accept certain exposures or not? What could be the impact on their business? What should they do to protect themselves? And then, of course, budgets. Technology has a broader gadget of costs, and bringing somebody with objective eyes can, again, help filter through it all, land on the right solution for you, and then help you identify who is the best provider for that and where you will get the best return on your investment. As a side note, from day one, HVG made a commitment to all of our clients. We do not sell, resell, or have any incentive from any vendor that we will bring to the table. We only sell knowledge and advice. So when you made a decision to engage with a fractional CIO, then I put together a list of a few bullets of what should you expect from that interaction. And it's always good when you bring any consultant to come up with a list of objectives and hold them accountable to that. All of our services have a customer satisfaction guarantee sitting on top of it, and we will do whatever possible to deliver what we say we will deliver. And here are some of the highlights. So you want an expert to come in and quickly tap into your technology and bring technology best practices. The broader the experience that individual brings to the table, the better it is for all parties involved, because they can mix and match solutions from a variety of different industries. You expect them to offer pragmatic advice and direction, to leverage technology to improve your company performance. You would like them and expect them to deliver strategic vision, coaching, mentoring, depends on your staff and the rest of the leadership team that is participating in that process. They will bring collaboration and alignment and will deliver a roadmap, a dashboard to measurement results, as well as any details that you would like to gain their expertise to help implement. I'm going to stop with a fractional CIO and just give the audience an opportunity to ask any questions.
And let me clarify over that for attendees, use the Q&A button. The chat button is for us to converse with you about any technical matters, but content related, use the Q&A button, which we're monitoring.
Ofer, this is Doug. The question I have is, as you look at the business landscape, how large does an organization have to become before they hire a full-time CIO? You know, either in revenues or people or locations. What's your experience? At what point do they bring a full-time CIO aboard?
It's a very good question, Doug, because it really depends on the type of the business. So a simple answer will be, if you're in the technology and you're developing apps and that is your service, you can be as small of a company of 12 to 15 people, but without a CIO, you will not be able to implement what your business objectives are. But on the average, if you're talking about customer service, retail, I would say that the answer is reversed, right? A seasoned CIO who should be paid in the high $100,000 to $300,000 at a minimum, and then north of that. And I'm purposefully answering in that way because that pretty much eliminates a lot of compensation budget for a lot of good-sized company. I can have a company that earns $12 million a year, and I have 40 some staff, but it doesn't mean that because of that, I need a CIO. The fractional CIO model was created about 8 to 9 years ago because of that specific gap in true need and the ability / desire to spend the money on that need. That need can be consolidated and very well defined to a fractional full-time, and a good plan usually spreads over a period of time where the road plan ends up with priorities, where the leadership provided through that fractional CIO is decreased in time, but remain focused on the management, the leadership, the mentoring, and to making sure that the plan is actually being implemented with the right results.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, I'll move to my top 3 areas where I engage most of the time with clients are. In the last few years, cyber threats, and I think October is actually National Cyber Awareness Month, has become quite the costly area where more and more organization, again, size is of no protection. As we probably heard just a couple of weeks ago, Uber was hit and was able to enjoy, quote unquote, a process of ransomware, which really started through a WhatsApp chat interaction between one of their senior IT people and a threat actor. So I'm going to try to move the slide. And we're going to dive in a little bit to cyber safety. So cyber safety is started with years ago, right? With viruses, it grew to be into the malware world, and now it expanded itself, where in all simple terms, organizations should protect themselves because they have expensive content, right? And content could be names of clients, content can be financial transactions, content can be personal information, medical information, resellers and vendors information, and all that is sitting on everybody's storage platforms, if you will, whether you have systems on-prem, whether you have systems in the cloud, and we are surrounded by threat actors, as the industry calls them, that are constantly trying to gain access to that. They are very, very sophisticated. They work on social engineering techniques because at the end of the day, we can have the best tools to protect us, but our employees with the best intentions are the easiest one to knock on their door, on their human door, and and really apply to their human desire to believe and respond. Oh, and I don't want to scare you. I want to share that while there is a very sophisticated multi-billion-dollar bad industry out there that is after us, there are ways for us to put protection in place. It will be fair for me to say that you will never be able to protect yourself at the 100% level, but the industry have agreed that the 98% level is very, very achievable. And all I can do is urge you to find an expert, engage with them, and just make sure that you have what it takes to come as close as possible to that 98%. And it's really not expensive to do. We're going to do another poll. And this question is pulled from the United States carriers. There are about 85 carriers that participated in that. All of them are selling different levels of cyber insurance and liability policy. And an average a cost of an incident, right? And many people think, oh, I got malwared, I paid $50,000 and I got off the hook, right? It's a lot more complicated than that because it's not just the money that changed hands or through a fake invoice, but it is what else has been taken, what else has been left behind by those threat actors, and what type of communication, and we will get to that through cyber liability policies, what type of communication should continue to take place between you and your vendors, between you and your clients. There's a lot of PR damage control and the ability to make sure that when your system are deemed clean, they are, and that you have no repeat performance, because every time something happens and the threat actor has success, there is a dark web area where those successes are recorded and are sold in a franchise kind of way to other threat actors that will try to mimic what the first person was successful in. So once you're a target, you're always a target. And if you're not yet a victim, you're definitely a to-be target. So we have one at 48, one at 68, but two at 108, which is the correct and unfortunate answer. And Doug, I'm going to answer a question if you were to ask, is there a different cost depending on the size of the company? And sadly, the answer is yes. So large companies are, at times, I think the largest malware ransomware paid was in the $42 million. And that is a known amount. There are incidents that are happening that us public is not aware of them, and settlements are being made without us being aware. This is based on the small business world that has had cyber insurance policies in place and submitted claims against them. I'm going to move to the next slide. So one of the key questions to really figure out, should I pay X amount of dollars to increase my safety? Should I spend more money to buy a policy that will protect me from those type of situations? Those are valid questions, right? Because there's expenses that bring no visible return on investment. But those are the top three questions that I would ask myself, right? If I had to completely shut down my network as a result of infection, right, to remediate and clean it up, How would my business operate during that time? And I'm not talking about the cost to remediate, right? We got engaged with a client that got hit. They ended up replacing 67 desktops because they couldn't clean them. So by the time we got engaged, they were already running to every retail outlet across 6 of their locations to find devices. But I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about they couldn't operate for almost a week, and that cost them a lot of money, right? What services would you have to keep operational no matter what? And based on that answer, put in place a disaster recovery plan that will allow you to keep the top 3 services that keep your business afloat financially operational. Right? If you lost sensitive customer information, what should you put in place to disclose it to your customers correctly? And by having a cyber policy in place at the time of engagement, you get the help of a variety of experts that the insurance company will bring to the table at their cost, not at your cost. You will have a certain fixed cost with every claim, the deductible, and they will take care of everything else. And many a times they bring a PR firm. They definitely bring lawyers to the table who understands, based on different states, what is considered personal information and what is not, and what type of message do you send out. You don't need to fall on your sword, but you need to be professional in what you are saying and the steps that you are taking to mitigate and prevent it down the road. I created a little grid so you guys can take it with you, because I'm not here to sell you anything but knowledge and discipline. So is this antivirus better than this antivirus? Is this backup better than that backup? There are a variety of different areas here. And if I would have my way and you guys can take it, study each and every one of them and put a check mark that you put it in place, you'll see that it's not expensive. And you will be able to say, hey, we are at that 98% protection. You know, here is one of my favorite and the simplest thing. You all subscribe to some type of email services from an email service provider. I'm hoping that every system that your organization uses, including your own systems for social media that we're now integrated into businesses, are all, without any exception, protected with the most annoying multi-factor authentication process. It doesn't cost anything because every service provider offers it. It's just the effort to do it. Okay? So I don't want to go through all of that. Another item that I mentioned before is what our industry calls the human firewall, our employees. And very easy, as we have so many emails, so many messages, phone calls, voicemail that come and pop up on our screens as we interact with our functions throughout the day, to really not pay attention to 100% pop-ups, windows, and messages and read and think, do I click or do I don't click? And people react. When people react, information is being shared unintentionally, and then the threat actors usually do nothing. They do nothing for a period of time because, oh, did I do something? And then my radar from being elevated begin to decrease, right? Very simple and very inexpensive to create an ongoing effort of training your staff to be careful and watch for all those social engineering. There is a platform out there, my favorite, it's called Know Before. They have an entry-level training program that costs $15 per employee per year. So it's very, very inexpensive. What it does, it will provide you through a central portal where all of your employees' emails will be in. It will send training content to your staff. It will ask them 1 to 2 questions at the end. Depends on the question, they will receive additional training and periodically, and we manage that platform for most of our clients. We send monthly test phishing emails. Employees receive it, and based on their response, we can tell, oh, that employee clicked on the wrong answer. They should get a little training conversation, giving them more in-depth training videos and continue to pay attention. And that process can repeat just two of the quickest and the least expensive highlights of what you can do internally with your organization and staff. If anybody has any specific questions on any of those items, I'm happy to dive into it. And I see no yellow dots on my Q&A, so I'm just going to move to the next favorite item. Years ago, when the cyber threats became a reality, right? Where the Nigerian prince with a lot of money became a joke of the past, right? The businesses realized that they need some type of protection. Cyber liability insurance, when it first started, was very inexpensive. You could buy it for about $1,000 to $1,500, and you would have fairly good protection. Fast forward, all the carriers have been paying so much money on such little income when they sell their premiums that a variety of things happen. An average cyber liability policy today will start in the $4,000 to $5,000 a year. And it starts with the $4,000 to $5,000 a year because of the average claims and the cost behind the scene for the insurance company when they're engaged. Because remember, what they do, no matter how much IT expertise you have, the insurance company will bring in any priority, they'll bring a forensic IT team to understand exactly how it happened. And if it's clean and what was left behind, that forensic IT team may bring their own help to help you recover and restore data whenever it's possible, because many organizations have their backup somewhat tied into their infrastructure, and threat actors love to destroy the backup because it puts them in a position of power. They will also bring lawyer, they will bring PR people, they will bring a project manager that will hold hands throughout that whole process and make sure that it's happening. If you talk to the top carriers, they'll tell you that for their client, it's very easy to get to a total of $350,000 to $750,000 bill for the carrier from beginning to end on those policies. So you should reach out to your business insurance agents, consultants, whoever you deal with, and ask them to provide you with a good cyber liability insurance.
Well, for Doug again, another question. Are all cyber insurance policies or companies created equal? I mean, I would imagine everybody out here has their own business insurance. We do.
Yep.
And, you know, I believe our cyber insurance comes from that carrier. But should users be looking at specialized carriers, or is it acceptable? Is it workable to use existing carriers with their line?
The answer is within your questions, right? If you go to your agent is usually licensed with one or more carriers. Most of the carriers have developed relationship with their sub-carriers. And that's if you maintain that due diligence where you don't buy the offer insurance policy, but you will buy a reputable rated carrier and their policy that is being sold through their sub-carriers, then you have the financial protection behind that. And I would think that we will do that due diligence with any type of policy that we buy. So don't necessarily only trust your trusted agent, because many of them are in a similar boat that you are, right? So maybe you're shopping for a cyber liability insurance, and maybe they sold 5 of them before, and maybe they have had 0 claims, so they have no experience on how the claim services will be rolled into place. So when we're engaged to help clients with assessing, is this a good policy or not, those are the areas that we will provide the answers for. Who is the carrier? What's their financial strength, right? What are the specific services that they will engage with in case different tiers of cyber crimes are taking place against the holder of the policy? And
yep.
I unfortunately, it's not simple, right? And I try to break it down to what I would call the first-party coverage and the third-party coverage and make sure that you have those coverages in your policy. I don't know the industries of the participants in this webinar, but if I am in the selling cars, selling services, selling retail, selling customer service, selling credit card processing, health insurance, no matter what I do, right? The first party coverage will cover my business, right? So any losses suffered as a result of that, whether it's hardware, downtime, revenues, damage to assets, if any ransomware had to be paid, those are the obvious first party coverages. But third-party coverages are very, very critical because at the end of the day, I would believe that most of us rely heavily on our great reputation and relationship that we have with our community of customers, service provider, resellers, vendors, you name it, right? And when breaches like this happen, that is what the definition of third-party coverage. You need that protection. So you didn't just protect yourself, but you protected everybody that was important to your business. It helps you come out of it stronger, where your community will appreciate you differently. Many of our people around us no longer get excited with those situations, but they get concerned what happened to their data. And if that third-party coverage is in place, which will make a policy more complete, you will definitely benefit from having the right protection. And hopefully, Doug, that also helps in the evaluation of what should I look for in a policy and the carrier that sells that policy.
Yeah.
I do agree that IT used to be very simple, right? You'd go to your local retail or buy it online from one of the providers, you plug it, you play it, you had some software, you bought some antivirus, and you felt really great about it. And then came the biggest evolution of us humans, the internet, and everything kind of went to pretty much cyber threat hell. Excuse my choice of words. So if there are no questions, I'll move to my next topic, which is the area of a managed service provider. What is a managed service provider, and what is the difference between a managed service provider and having my own people? I can tell you that the differences are very endless, but the top of that tier in differences is the diversity and knowledge that a good managed service provider will bring to the table. And the benefit of that is you're not following the Sally approach, right? The same as last year. You are following somebody who can bring experience and knowledge, listen to what your needs are, and give you a tailored solution that will definitely help you move your business, increase your revenues, and introduce efficiencies while safety is and recoverability are maintained. And those are key combinations. So that type of diverse experience is critical. The second critical element of a managed service provider is the depth of their bench or their knowledge. So many clients have part-time or a full-time IT person, and their job is the day-to-day. Hey, we bought a new computer. We need to plug it, right? Clients are complaining about no Wi-Fi. I can connect them correctly, or a printer jam, you name it, right? This is the day-to-day typical running around in every office. But their knowledge is limited. So when they need to configure a switch, where they need to choose what kind of firewall, when they need to negotiate the proper deal sometimes with a copier vendor, so you don't get taken advantage of by mixing maintenance and leases and sending the machine to some unknown address in Colorado at the end of the lease. That's where expertise and partnership with the managed service provider will bring that bench of knowledge and the ability for the MSP to jump with knowledge and ability right away. Usually managed service provider will introduce a variety of different tools that will provide, and I'm going to move to the next slide, all type of infrastructure design implementation. I mean, sometimes people ask, oh, I need better Wi-Fi coverage. How do I know what to do? Well, we have solutions, right? Because all the manufacturers have free software for MSPs to embed into that software a blueprint of your space, give some explanation about what this wall is made of and that wall is made of, and the software has enough artificial intelligence to put a deployment of wireless access, right? Hardware management and replacement program. Should I buy? Should I lease? What type of tiers of hardware should I have? Every organization have their more powerful users, excuse me for a second, that need more frequent replacement and upgrades of hardware, and people that do not. Is there a rotation program that can be put in place quickly? 24/7 monitoring of all of your assets. You know, HVG system uses that software that sits on all computers, and it watches for hardware and software specific behavior. It doesn't watch for content, and it sends interactive alerts to our network operations center. And from there, we engage with the specific clients to let them know, hey, your hard drive is about to fail, or for the last week, you've been running at 87% memory utilization. Is that something that we need to address and upgrade the memory, or should you guys wait for an employee to say, well, I couldn't deliver the report because my computer was too slow, right? We are trying to eliminate and prevent what we call the silent suffering of your users and increase their productivity. Patching all of your equipment from firmware on hardware to operating system patches from the manufacturer to Java updates to Adobe updates, you name it. Those are all designed to not just fix operational issues with the software, but take care of security vulnerabilities. And you want that to happen behind the scenes and on a regular basis. Obviously, help desk and end user support, all type of budgeting. HVG have always been like the liaison between our clients and all their IT-related vendors, and we help manage them so no wrong information is being shared and odd demands are put on the table. And those are some of the highlights that that HVG brings to the table as a managed service provider. I can tell you from experience that majority of people, right, they either have a solution in place, and it could be a full-time employee, it could be a part-time IT services, but it's something that they know they're not happy with, but they're worried to ever make a change, even though they know that they're not getting the services that they need. And bringing either a fractional CIO or even a fractional MSP will help put checks and balances in place and work with your trusted source to ease up some of those feelings and pressures that you may or may not have in place. Just some highlights about HVG systems. We've been in business. I think we're going to celebrate our 19th year in November of this year. We are servicing over 3,000 endpoints, and that does not include cloud or on-premise services, servers that we manage as well for our clients. We have clients all over the United States as well as clients in Europe and Australia. Happy to provide any references as specific as to any industry or general references. Our online help desk system that receives requests for helps from our clients. At the end of every ticket that's closed, there is a survey that clients are asked to participate in. Some do, some don't. It gives different type of stars and then some verbal description, and we are averaging 4.87 out of 5.0 on client high rating of the level of services and the speed by which we provide them. And you'll have some information about myself. I did say it, or I should have said it. I'm really not here to sell you any product per se, because I don't believe that there is one magical product that will fix any type of technologies. But if you want to chat, I'm happy to. If you want to engage on the short term, I'm happy to. If you want us to do any type of studies, we do have a small fee for that, but we're happy to do that as well. Everything that you will get from us is very objective, that you will be able to take and implement yourself or engage with HVG or myself for further implementation. And that is the end of my official content.
Okay, thank you, Ofer. And everyone, there is a Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. Go ahead and click on that if you have questions. That's the way we'll do the Q&A time. So here we go. Let's begin with this one. Do I really need cyber safety tools and services?
Well, I think the answer is at least obvious to people like me who live in that world. So it is a yes with uppercase, bold, and underline because of what we know is happening to everybody. I would even say that if the people in this webinar are those who have never been a victim of any type of cyber threat or cyber activity, then I would tell you that you're very lucky and not very well protected. And I don't mean it in any negative connotation. So it's a big yes. It's a dirty world out there. Those threat actors are taking advantage of every human good feeling that we carry. And just yesterday, a wave of, if any of you remember the Nigerian prince, and this is why I brought it up, because he family got kicked out of the country. There was a fortune. If you participate and help, you get a percentage of it. But of course, they want some money. And of course, they want access to your account. And now it came back after it went away for so many years with the aid that is being offered to a lot of the Soviet or the Russian oligarchs, because a lot of sanctions have been put against them, and a lot of them have no access to their money or their assets. So that same scam is now floating around the internet again, and asking people to help them have access to their multi-million now. So please do that. Another thing that has been sadly popular is clients are receiving USB sticks from vendors as a token of a gift, and they get very excited because they have like 32 gig of space, which is a lot. So they open the envelope, they look at it like, oh my God, they don't have to know the logo on the USB stick, and they put it in their computer, and you can imagine the type of malware that was on that USB stick and is now happily floating on the client's network and computers and collecting information and causing damage. So yes, everybody should.
Yeah, here's another. Is there one solution that is more important than others that will protect me and save me from spending money in other solutions?
No, sadly, it's not what it used to be, right? It is the attacks that are coming, right, on clients on a second-by-second basis are just amazing. So we participate in a lot of industry groups, including a seat that we have with the National Security Forum that was designed specifically for managed service providers like ourselves that specialize in cyber safety. So attacks will come from websites, right? Attacks will come from any type of electronic source, from social media to email. Attack will come over a phone, right? Because now the technology is allowing people to call my phone, record my greeting, and then using software will change my voice. So it is using my voice, but it is calling with a variety of different requests. Very easy to fake SIM IDs, so now people can use my telephone number, even though it's not my telephone number when they make phone calls. And I can go on and on and on, just to show you that, unfortunately, there isn't any one tool that can say, oh, if I can only block bad emails, I will be safe. Because it's not simple anymore. And if you go back to that grid that I put together, some of those are just smart business next steps, right? Because having a good backup, if you're exposed on the 2% that we talked about, will still recover your data and put you back in business very quickly. But
Again, reminding. Oh, go ahead.
No.
Just reminding everyone that the Q&A button is there for you to ask any questions as we get ready to wrap up our time. Here's another. This was covered somewhat earlier, but maybe you could reiterate. How large of an organization do I need to be to benefit from a fractional CIO?
If the question is how small, it's easier to answer. How large? I know that very large. Right now, we're working with an international manufacturing company that has hundreds of millions of dollars in revenues per year. They have a full-time CIO, and we are helping them with reorganizing their wide area network throughout their 16 international locations. And there is a company that definitely has the financial power to do what they need to do. But sometimes the CIO by himself, even for large companies, have a plate that is overflowing, and they bring experts that can communicate with them on the same level of knowledge and language, deliver using the same tools, and quickly analyze and deliver results. Well, on the opposite extreme, our smallest client that had an engagement with us for a fractional CIO had 5 employees. They were moving to a new office. They moved. Nothing worked. I wish they would have engaged with us before instead of after, but we quickly discovered some of the faults in the wiring, overheating of a small server room, and we were able to quickly help them. So there was really no right size or wrong size. To me, it's what are your business needs, and where can you tap into getting the quickest amount of help without disturbing your processes and staff that I'm sure is overwhelmed with project and doesn't have extra time.
All right, we have time for another one. Let's see, here it is. Is it more cost effective to outsource my IT versus employing full or part-time IT staff?
I would say that it is, but it begins to vary based on size, right? So the smaller you are, the more cost effective it will be to outsource 100% of your IT because of that knowledge and depth of ability and resources, right? I'm sure it happened. 3 new computers came in, 2 new employees are starting, and my IT person called in sick. I'm not saying that my team is immune from being sick, but I have multiple team members that I can then rearrange the schedule and send to deliver. So that's very important, I think, for small businesses. The larger the organization is, and I'm talking about larger than 150 to 200 people, there is a balance where part of full-time on-premise IT person can be more cost-effective working with a managed service provider to deal with the day-to-day, what we would call a plug-and-play, moving of equipment, replacing monitors, dealing with printer issues, while the more sophisticated tier of services and management is happening with the help of a managed service provider.
I see no further questions, so Doug, can you bring your webcam back up? And in the meantime, I'm going to bring up this post-session survey for all to fill out before they depart while you conclude the time.
Well, thank you everybody for attending. I want to, in full disclosure, let you know that Ofer and his team have been supporting our IT needs here at Strategic Source for many years. We have used his resources to help us through a number of problems. Early on in the engagement, we were susceptible to spam and had some pretty serious issues that they resolved for us. They keep us operating day to day. They have a survey at the end of every ticket that they issue, so you get an opportunity to provide feedback. It is very cost effective. There's no way that we could have the support that we do today if we had to build our own team. And as it relates to Ofer, he is the strategist and certainly the operational guru. But we have pulled him in a number of times as we've looked at strategic initiatives on the IT side. So we don't use Ofer in a fractional role. I would certainly encourage that. And if you need support on a larger scale, I would certainly endorse that as well. They are a top-notch team. We've got great service, and we've had questions on our cybersecurity, which was up for renewal here recently, because some of the partners you deal with are going to ask for very onerous, extravagant coverage, and sometimes you just have to roll over and provide that. But there's an opportunity to optimize that and rationalize that, and having a security expert in place is certainly a benefit. So Ofer, thank you for your wisdom and your help, and your presentation was very informative, and appreciate all that you do to support us and potentially our client base as well.
Thank you, Doug.
So,
I appreciate the opportunity.
Strategic Source, as you know, we're here to help clients reduce cost of supplies and services. We're here to help you reduce staffing that's dedicated to that activity. We help you optimize your supplier base and drive efficiencies into the organization. If you're interested in learning more, contact us at 612-386-3898. Talk to Chris. He can help you with that. We can provide you with a copy of the webinar today. Certainly provide you with a copy of the recorded webinar as well. And I would encourage you to keep in mind that we're running these innovative supplier webinars probably every 2 weeks. We try to do it twice a month. We've had very, very strong attendance. And again, the topics are varied, from credit card processing to IT support to shop supplies. To selling your dealership was a topic that we covered a couple of weeks ago. So pretty broad. I think you can learn a lot, and you can find some very high qualified suppliers and partners here to work with. So with that, thanks for your attendance, and we look forward to you next time at Strategic Source. Dave?
All right. Thank you, Doug, and thank you, Ofer, and thanks everyone for attending. And those who had completed the post-session survey, thank you. So have a great rest of the week, and we look forward to you joining us on future webinars with Strategic Source.